So Colt, Boom here brought up a couple of really big points. Like the return of Xbox is obviously the pinnacle highlight branding phrase, right? Like you can call it, people call it PR, etc. But regardless, what does that mean to you, especially in light with this changing of the guard that we're seeing here unfold before our eyes?
I don't think it means the return of exclusives, at least full stop. Right now we have limited exclusives because I hate when people say we. There are limited exclusives because studios aren't ready to make PS5 ports, or, things are just changing because this is a brand new initiative. And now returning to Xbox, I think, means they have to figure out some way to take that dilution, that diluted chemistry of the Xbox brand that's been pushed for over a year, and bring it back to the core Xbox fans matter. And maybe that means marketing or utilizing the console and making it front and center. Like, just ask me to make a graphic for you if you wanted to do that. And I would put the Xbox consoles front and center with the PC and cloud gaming small behind it. They have to treat the often used phrases that Xbox fans are treated as second-class citizens, and they have to figure out how to come back to that. But doing exclusivity is not something they can easily do. And I've made a couple videos about this as well and talked about it on my podcast, that they could go back to full exclusivity. I think it would actually hurt them really, really bad, because the reason why they're putting games on PlayStation is to make up the money they're not making because they can't sell consoles. I'll end my statement by saying this. They have done a horrible job over the past 15 years, except for a couple of years in the beginning of the series generation. They've done a horrible job of selling their consoles. They made them unavailable. They pushed for the cloud infrastructure with their chips out of the manufacturing process. They were putting those into data centers instead of selling consoles at a time when they didn't have games. It was really, really bad. So they couldn't sell games. They didn't have consoles to sell. And then they yanked out of the European market and overseas and said, hell, we're not going to send much stuff over there because we lose so much money every time we sell a console. They need to figure that out, because right now the Xbox Series consoles, even the S, are wildly overpriced and out of market. And I don't know how they're going to fix that. But
I got to follow up though, because like when you talk about they're not bringing back exclusives, my question is, what would that even look like? What is even an exclusive, especially in the age of them publishing day and date on PC? Because in my mind, and I stated this like a decade ago when all the news was breaking a couple of years ago, where they're like, yeah, we're going to bring games everywhere, etc. Like I was like, yeah, this is the pathway they've been on for like over a decade, because they started publishing day and date on PC. And in my mind, and this is just a puritanical view of the definition of exclusive, is that there is one place and only one place that you can play. And I don't want them to take it off of my PC. They have trained me. I've got my Xbox ROG Ally. I've got my PC. Same. I've got my Xbox. Like the value for me is it's all in my ecosystem. I can just boot up the game, continue on whatever screen, whatever room I'm in. And in and of itself, to me, I was like, that's not an exclusive. They've made the hardware completely optional, which I appreciate so much. I like that it's a choice that I make, not this feeling like I have to buy it. So much so that honestly, if PlayStation, the rumor that they were talking about this week, if they were talking about like not going to bring Wolverine to PC at some point in the future, my first thought on that rumor was, oh, I guess that's a game I'm not going to play, because I'm not going to go chase hardware when I already have something that can do the job, and probably do the job a little bit better than a console, in my opinion. But what's your world of an exclusive? What does that even look like?
They've been putting their games on PC day and date for 10 years now, exactly 10 years, because Quantum Break launched around this time in 2016. So my look at exclusivity is they just need to, it's going to be really hard for me to say this, because I wholeheartedly believe, and I said it before Xbox finally had exclusives, that exclusives aren't the driving reason why people buy consoles. The numbers tell you they buy the console to play Fortnite, Call of Duty, the soccer game, or what used to be FIFA, Madden. Yeah, this is the reason why most consoles are sold. And everyone can tell you, oh, I bought my console because of God of War or because of Spider-Man or because of Halo. And of course, there are people like that, but the statistics don't lie. 13% of PlayStation users are playing the exclusives on they're the ones buying those exclusives across their attach rate. Same thing for Xbox. I think it's a little bit lower, like 11. I used to do the math all the time. But what Xbox would need to do is say, hey, we want our games to go, worldwide, international. We make our games for everybody, but they're going to have a new console out, and it'll probably be their last. So that the only way they could do it is say, there's two things here. I think they're going to do the same to Game Pass, but here's my pitch, and this is just a guess. I've been looking at this stuff for a long time. I think they're going to have a set date of when games launch on Game Pass and PlayStation platforms. So if you want to play Xbox's games, you have full access to them across PC, Xbox console, and cloud on any device that supports. I sound like Sarah Bond when I say that. Any device that supports Xbox. So if you want to play Fable, like they got to get on this now. If you want to play Elder Scrolls 6, you have to be on a device that supports Xbox, on Xbox Network. And I think they're going to make some changes with Game Pass, which we'll get in later on the show. But I think if they just say 90 days, or maybe people say 6 months or a year, 90 days is perfect. Like everyone who wanted to buy a game buys it within the first month or two. Yeah. If a game's hot, everyone's on it. Mm-hmm. And people can wait, and people will wait when we talk about PlayStation as well. So the FOMO will be a strong thing. When Forza Horizon 6 comes out, there were like 1 million people that bought the early access version for $80 back in 2021, knowing full well they could have it nearly for free on Game Pass, but people jumped in, -3 day 3 because they had to have the game. And if Xbox ramps their games up to where you have to play them, which they have not had very many games, even this generation, where people say you have to play this Xbox game, then they could say, draw the line in the sand and say, our games are coming to other platforms 90 days after release, or depending on when the studio can get them out after that. But they need to have a set date. Sorry, that was a lot.
No, I love it. I was going to...
It's kind of along the lines of what like Sony does, though, right? With their PC stuff. They wait, a year lately, unless it's a service game. And then that tends to be day and date, because they want as many people playing the live service games as possible.